find at the Flea?
Well, we have so many amazing vendors. Last year we hosted close to 400 through the season.
Wow.
Yeah, it was more than we expected, and the Flea is. It's great to be here to tell as much about what the Flea is not as it is, what the Flea is, and what it's not really is, the stereotypical flea market with dusty batteries and cheap sunglasses and maybe job lots of tube socks and things like that. Our Flea is really more a vintage and artisan maker market, and so that's really what you'll find at the Flea. Vintage vendors who are very careful pickers and have a really great selection of vintage finds. You'll also find clothing vendors. We have some food vendors at the Flea. Hot sauce, local honey. We'll have open season truck, which will be selling actually meats. Cuts of meat that they, and venison and all sorts of wild game meat. What I brought today is a selection of some of my own private collection.
So you can't find this there, but maybe something like it, right?
You can actually find lots of things very similar. So, for example, coming back on this Sunday will be the gentleman who makes these signs from upcycled license plates.
We have to show this. This is so cool.
This was a gift from the Rhode Island Artisan Bird House, and he collects these license plates, slices them up, and now he makes custom signs, and he also makes bird houses, and they're really phenomenal, and he's really a big hit at the Flea, so we're excited to have him back on Sunday.
And I think these are so phenomenal. I've seen him at Waterfire before, and I said he's coming back this Sunday to the Providence Flea. Yeah. So if you're interested in one of these, you can check this out. Love that it says Providence Flea. That's so neat. So you can get them custom made.
Yep.
That's cool.
So that was really great. Then we have things like, vintage finds like this upcycled scale, which I think is close to 100 years old.
Oh my gosh.
That's from a vendor, Silver Lining Designs, who just joined us this past year and has been a big hit. They also do upcycled furniture, so they'll do custom pieces like this one here. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'll sort of hold it out.
Sure.
And you can see they do all sorts of custom finishes. This one is distressed with green and a sort of beige sort of overtone,
and really in great condition now too.
Well, it is now, yeah. So they, they're finds and sort of some heirloom pieces that people will bring them and they'll ask them. I'd really like to sort of incorporate this into my current sort of design in my home, and they can match it to. They've got probably a range of maybe 20 different finishes that they can upcycle it for you and refinish it. They actually did my dining room table, which came out, just spectacular. I'm so excited about it. So we have furniture vendors, both vintage furniture and antique furniture vendors, and vendors who do upcycle things like this. They also do sign transfers and some kind of neat, new, old-looking sorts of things.
Which signs are super popular, just for decorating.
And they do these on the tops of furniture pieces. They do them on, Lazy Susans. They'll do them on the face of a furniture piece. So it's really a really neat effect, yeah.
And I like these ones are St. Patrick's Day themed, so that's fun.
Yeah. And they will have, oh my God, they'll have a lot of those on Sunday as well.
As we're talking about your personal collection, I'm so excited about everything. We can put it back together.
It's fine, it's fine. So that actually is,
this is my favorite thing too.
It's a really neat,
oh my God, you're never coming back here.
No, it's fine. A local vendor called Road Trip Photography, and he was with us at the holiday markets, and we expect he'll be back in the summer.
And he better come back so he can fix it, because I just broke it.
That's okay.
No, we can put it back together. This is actually really beautiful, and so let's talk about it. We'll talk about the actual picture within it while I try to put back the frame.
So that is actually a paper bag from Rocky Point Clam Cakes.
Okay.
And he does Rocky Point tickets, and he does things from, the Louvre Carousel and from the Warwick Musical Tent, and playbills from, bands who played at the Living Room in Providence way back when. And he has this really neat photography effect that he applies, and he's been, hugely popular just because, he captures all of these Rhode Island icons.
yeah, this is so neat, and it looks vintage. And you said that's how he works.
Exactly. So he has, you know, framed prints and all sorts of really neat sort of frames. This is an old photography frame that I think
probably one of a kind that I just broke. This frame is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really neat. And then he has unframed prints too that you can buy, and oversized ones, and collages of like Dell's lemonade cups and Narragansett beer cans and all sorts of really old vintage icons, you know, from all over the state. So that's really neat too.
Just stuff that you can't, that's hard to find, and you can find it all in one place. I'm going to set this down here, so I try not to break it anymore. Let's see what else you can leave with in one piece. I'm just going to stand here with my hands. This is how my mom told me to walk through stores when they're breakables.
Right.
Just keep your hands at your sides, Molly.
Well, you haven't bought it, so if you break it, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But
okay, I'll let you continue.
You know, we also have vendors who do you know, hand and body products. So we have lots of soaps and candles, and people who do all natural lotions. And this is one vendor who will be there on Sunday. She makes these really neat horoscope candles that just smell delicious. It's an aster candle, and she's just one of several.
Oh, that smells really good.
Vendors who will have candles there on Sunday. So you know, there's just lots of different things. It's, you know, like I said, it's mostly vintage, you know, findings and upcycled art and crafts. Like this is also one of my favorites. It's a vintage Providence bicycle map that was made into a bag by one of my vendors who usually comes in the summer. And I gave this to her and asked her for a messenger bag, and she basically laminates these and then sews them together. And you can pick out, I picked out a sort of polka dot inner fabric. And she has 5 sons who race BMX, and evidently they only use the tire tubes once. Wow. And she just felt like she couldn't you know, bring herself to be throwing out all of this rubber that would just, you know, land in the landfill. So she decided that she would make the sides out of, you know. So she does these, and she also does some really neat beach totes with maps, vintage maps of like the Cape and the islands and, you know, the Hamptons, and some from like Bermuda, and you know, really interesting tourist spots. So you know, it's just one of the sorts of things that you could find. There'll be another vendor who will be making different kinds of bags at the Flea, and those will all be sort of hand sewn and from new and vintage fabrics. So you know, aside from the vintage findings, I'm just going to set this here. It keeps falling.
We'll try not to break anything else.
We also have lots of vintage clothing vendors. I wore a vintage Rolling Stones concert T-shirt.
I was wondering if that was vintage or if that was new. It looks new.
Yeah, I know. It's in mint condition.
It's
I
great
bought
shape.
it probably in the second season from a vintage vendor. But we have dozens of vendors who sell vintage clothing that they have, you know, found, and they're reloved or repurposed. So you can find, you know, concert T-shirts and jeans and, you know, leather jackets and spring jackets and all sorts of men's and women's fashions, as well as jewelry and accessories from both estate sale jewelers and you know, newer designs from you know, local jewelry designers from pretty much all over the state doing all sorts of things. You know, we had a vendor who was making jewelry and housewares out of upcycled skateboard decks. He's actually he's actually a skateboarder, and he makes like pencils and, you know, earrings and keychains, and it's out of the width of the deck, so you can see all of the different layers, which are all different colors. So just really, really industrious, very creative, very innovative, you know, things that you really can't find anywhere else.
And do you think that there's kind of a rise in demand for people looking for this locally made products and locally made goods?
I absolutely do. I think the buy local movement is huge, and we have one in Rhode Island that started 5 or 6 years ago out of the Lieutenant Governor's office, and the Rhode Island Foundation has picked it up and has updated the logo, updated the website, and they've really been promoting it. You'll see it in some of the local publications. You know, if you shift just 10% of your spending, it could mean hundreds of thousands of dollars that remain in the local community. And, as well, I think there's really a big burgeoning maker movement, not just in Rhode Island, but across the country, and even sort of throughout the world, at least throughout Europe we're seeing it. And it seems that, what's old is new again. People really love vintage findings. They love, turning towards their passion, and there's so many people trying to make a living doing what they love, and the Flea provides a perfect venue for that. I'll often tell prospective vendors that, for less than the cost of the classified ad, you can come to the Flea, you can meet your customers, you can do first-hand marketing research, get their input, network with other vendors, and just be part of a really great community event. I think it's really become sort of like a family, because we have a lot of returning vendors, and the vendors talk to vendors, and they sell to each other, and they sort of do other shows together, and it's really become, like you said, just a really great sort of
It really is.
Flea family.
It is. It's a community. It's a vibe, and you're really working with people within the community. It's sort of neighborly. When it comes to who is able to vend, because you said it's not really your run-of-the-mill, what you would think a stereotypical flea market is.
Yeah.
What is it like? What do you have to do if you have something that you think would be a good product?
It is a juried market, so we have an application process, and that's really just to make sure that we're choosing vendors who would be a good fit for the Flea. We don't want people to come who may not be a good fit for the Flea and have an unpleasant experience or an unsuccessful experience. So we're really careful about who we target market, and I think we've really only not accepted, I would say, a handful of vendors, because it seems like people who come to the Flea sort of get it. They get that it's.
They know that they fit.
They can go to the website. They'll see it on social media. We're on Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So there's lots of exposure and lots of ways that you can kind of find out, what the Flea vibe is. And I think people sort of, even self-deselect. So they know that we don't really take crocheted Afghans. I mean, that's really not the vibe. We do have crocheters and knitters who make all sorts of cute, like animals and necklaces out of vintage lace and vintage fabrics and all sorts of different upcycled stuff. But there is an application process, and when you apply, we usually turn around the decisions within a few days, and we let people know what the process is. And there are a couple of requirements. You do have to have a city peddler's license through the Board of Licenses at City Hall. And that's good for the entire season. That costs $10.
So there's a process to
Yeah.
things. You can't really
Yeah.
just show up with a booth.
No.
You can't just show up with a pile of stuff.
No, not like the old-fashioned fleas where you just
Yeah.
sort of like come up in your truck, you pay $35, and then you just like plop your stuff down and go find like the nearest spot. So.
And it really is a well-organized event. You have a ton of vendors. What is it like really organizing something this large? I mean, you have multiple vendors with multiple different types of products, and you have food. In the summer, you have music. What is it like putting on something like this? How do you make it all happen?
Yeah, it's kind of like planning a wedding every weekend, which has really been fun and also very stressful, I have to say sometimes. But I put together a very small team of people who are really great at helping me, organize on site at the event. We do a lot of advanced preparation because there's not a lot of time in the morning to get set up. Believe it or not, we start setting up at 7 o'clock for a 10 o'clock opening.
Yeah.
So in the summer, we need to make sure that we have, segments of, load in and drop off time, so that, it's not just a big pig pile. We have a site map all set up, and we communicate with the vendors in advance to let them know, you're accepted, and here's the process that you have to complete before you come to the Flea. Here are the steps that you need to take. And then we'll email them again a little closer to their market date and say, this is what to expect at the Flea. This is what time you're assigned to arrive. This is your spot to set up in. Someone will welcome you at the sidewalk, check you in, show you where your location is, drop off your stuff, you park your car, you come back and set up.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's just been a lot of details, and the more advanced preparation we do, the smoother it runs. So.
And do you think with these small businesses and with the Providence Flea, you're really helping drive the Rhode Island economy?
I hope so. I think we've provided a venue that didn't exist before for people who don't fit into, you know, a high-end artist market or are a little too edgy for a craft show or a church bazaar. And, you know, when I looked at the numbers and saw that we had, you know, almost 400 vendors come through the Flea last season, I think, you know, definitely we're making an impact by at least providing a venue for small and micro businesses and vendors and makers who, you know, might not have a venue otherwise to come to the city. And we're attracting lots of people downtown on a Sunday when otherwise, you know, in the past it's sort of been not a lot going on. So it's sort of our own little corner of the world, and, you know, if we're making an impact on the local economy, you know, even better.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming in. We're going to get things cleaned up here. This is